アメリカ
Amber Alert
で。
is like if it their kid it's like a kid gets kidnapped or something, I think.
そうそうそう。なんか、person
うん。
missing or like some car chase
Yeah.
going on. うんで、ブ
危な。
ブブブブみたいな。そ
危な。怖っ。
う。Wait, have you never had one?
I've had them in Connecticut I've had them, but 日本
う
だと、
ん。
見たことない。
日本、
そういうのする
なんかあったことあ
し
るかな？
ないのかな
いや、あるような気がする。いや、あるん
あるよ。
じゃない？
うん。絶対あるけど、見たことない。なんでかわかんないけど。
うん。
な
そうだね。
んでだろ
あれじゃない？なんか台風なんとかかんとかで来るくない？
う。あ
Not
あ、そういう
cars,
の
I
あ
feel
る
like.
けど、
うん。
Amber Alert みたいなやつ
災害系
はない。ね。
ないよね、多分。うん。
ないと思うけどわかんない。少なくとも見たことない。But yeah, there
う
are
ん
like typhoon warnings or earthquakes warnings. Oh, flood
う
warnings
ん。
とか、洪水 I think it's, what is it? 洪水
うん、洪水洪水。
うん。そういうのはある。
うん。
はい。
Hello, everyone. We are talking about kanji today for our podcast. チト
楽
さん。
しみ。
Hello, hello.
I'm making tea just off of
Of
screen.
course. Wait, タイがさ、お茶作ってない日とかなくない？
んお茶が作ってない
タイ
人
がお茶作ってない日とか
あ
なくない？
あ、そっか。
うん。
ない。I always have お茶。I always make お茶。
うん。
毎日。I have, and if I don't make it that day, I make it like, and then put it in the fridge, so it's in a pitcher. でも最近めっちゃ寒くなっ
おー、
て、I've always been making hot tea
あ
now.
ったかいやつ。うん、熱いやつね。うん。
熱い方がいい。
あったかいお茶と熱いお茶の違いは何でしょ
あ、
うか？
あったかい is like warm tea, and then 熱い tea is like you burn yourself, I guess. 合ってる
どっちが好き？うん。
あったかい I don't like to burn myself when I drink tea.
あの
チェは
私は熱いお茶が好き。
やけど好きなんだ。
なんか、ちゃんと、いや違う。ちゃんとふーってして、コクコクみたいな。ちょぴっとちょぴ
まあ、
っと。
でも、ふーっとしたら、あったかくならない
いや、なんか違いがあるのよ。なんかコンビニで買うのはあったかいお茶。で、お茶を入れるときは熱いお茶。
そうだよね。
勝手に
OK
勝手に言ってます。はい、すいません。
わかるけど。まあ、でも、
うん
入れると熱くならないとダメだよね。お茶がちゃんとスティープしない。スティープしない
うん。スープ
スティープ。
どっち
Is steep?
Steep.
Steep? Wait, which one is it?
あ
Do you
お茶
steep
ちゃんと
tea or
出
you
てこない。
steep tea? Wait, didn't you do both?
さあ、
さあ。
私は存じません。うん。
Wait, tea seeps and then you steep tea that seeps? Wait, no, no, it's steeping. 英語できん。
知らない。
英語できん。
私もでき
ご
ないから
めんね。
聞かないで。うん。
Why can't I? やば。やば。Does anyone know?
Does anyone know?
Tea
English?
steeps. Tea steeps, I
Tea
think.
steeps and you seep tea.
Wait, the tea seeps into the water.
Oh, okay.
ね
But you
Okay.
steep tea.
Yeah.
We're just
だと
talking
思う。
about tea in English, I
Yeah.
guess. We should
Oh
probably
boy.
not.
やば。
ごめんなさい。
ごめんね、みんな。Alright, but Wowza says yeah. Wowza agrees with us.
Well, yeah.
Thank you,
Yes.
Wowza.
That's all that counts.
That's what matters.
うん。
Alright. So yeah,
今日は何
today,
のトピックでしょうか？
漢字だね。So,
うん。
if anyone has questions about any kanji or learning kanji or anything, feel free to put them in the chat and then we'll get recording and then we'll stop by to take a look at any questions and all that. And yeah. Oh, wow. So thank you for the holy crap 10 months Prime resub. It's been so long since we started streaming. It's crazy.
Yeah, when did we start that? 1年前 ?2 年前
1
?1 年
年
前
前1年前ぐらい。1年。I think. 1年半かなもう。1年半間。1年間半。
1年半間
Hong Kong. I'm like, Hong Kong sounds so wrong. I'm like, am I saying Hong Kong or something? What's going on? 1年間半。
長いですね。
長い。It'd be longer if you didn't take any breaks. Oh, whoopsies.
True.
True facts. すいません、謝罪いたし
一
ます。
番最初のストリーム覚えてるよ。We were in Tokyo. ケルブとチエでストリームした。一番最初。
Yeah. I like vaguely remember that. Yeah, because it was you guys that
I was
started it first,
painting,
right?
yeah, I was painting the cat picture for our lo-fi beat study tonight to shark. It's on YouTube.
Oh, yeah. Oh my
I was
god.
painting that cat picture.
長。久しぶり。懐かしい。懐かしい。すごい。Alright, but yeah, let's I think let's start recording, and then if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask us, and then we'll check after we like about the halfway recording point. So, hi.
よいしょ。
よいしょ。
Hello and welcome. 皆さんこんにちは。
こんにちは。
こんにちは。今日はね、ちょっとみんなが everyone wonders about, you know, when you're learning Japanese, what the frick are kanjis? What are they doing in this language?
Getting violent with the language over here too. But yeah, people do wonder all the time. I mean, hey, if you have a language that has like more than 2,000 separate characters you need to learn to be like effectively fluent at reading it, it's a common concern, I would say, versus English is like 52 or whatever, how many capitals and lowercase you need to learn, you know?
Yeah. But タイは知恵の漢字書ける？
書けると思う。
お
かも。や、知恵。It's like, it has the Ju at the top. Wait, No, that's the A part. Oh no, wait. いやー、書けないかも。読めるけど、書けないかも。If I saw it, I could like, 書ける。
So Japanese people would describe their names as individual kanjis. And when I say my name, you can spell it as in different kanjis. Chie in different ways, which is my name. And I would describe it as shiru ni megumu.
Ah, shiru kakeru. It's like the wheat thing and then the mouth. And then megumi is the Ju and then the rice field and then the heart at the bottom. Now I know. But if you didn't tell me, I can't picture it.
Yeah. So that's how I would describe, you know, like when you're spelling out your name on the phone in English, you'd be like, yeah, it's CHIE. It's kind of like that, saying, shiru ni megumu desu. Because there's other ways to spell chie, like with tomo ni megumu.
Ah, soだよね. And there's other like other names like Tomoe would probably have similar spelling, right?
そうそう。で、
そうだよね。
タイの名前が漢字だったら何にしたい？
タイだね。魚のタイっていう。
おお。
絶対する。けどカタカナの方がいいよね。
いや、ウケると思うよ。魚のタイだったら。
そうだよね。
It'd be really funny if it was.
みんなウケる。けどなんか銀行とかのドキュメントだったらちょっとなんか悪いイメージ絶対感じれる。書きながらなんでタイ書いてるんだろうってみんな思っちゃう。
そうね。それは言えてる。So, how did you go about learning kanji? Because my experience in learning
Mm,
kanji as a native is completely different, I'm assuming, than you.
yeah, I would
So how
say.
did you, one, how did you know or like find out about kanji first? And then how
Mhm.
did you go about learning them?
そうだね. Well, first off, finding out about kanji, I just watched a bunch of anime when I first started,
Mm,
so I just saw
mm,
like, oh, okay, and like enough of like going on Reddit or whatever with people, I would see, oh, okay, yeah, there's the kanji, and then this part's like the hiragana, and this part's the katakana. Oh, okay, that's cool. Is when I first like learned, like just watching a random show, right?
mm,
And but like when I actually started learning about it, it was from Nihongo Shark, so Old Native Shark, right? And
mm,
there was a challenge that we did. So it was the 97-day kanji challenge where you learned everything with like English representative words. So you didn't really learn the kanji, but you got used to not being scared of kanji, which was really
mm,
helpful. But you, yeah. So I like memorized. I made like mnemonics, so like short stories tying all the little pieces of every kanji because they actually do make sense when you break them down, which is nice. But I did that for like over 3 months, and
mm.
then I started learning Japanese proper. So
え、漢字
yeah,
を最初
mm.
に習ってから日本語習ったの？
So. Yeah, I was
So,
already
Tai
familiar
saying
with
that
everything.
he learned kanji first and then learned Japanese?
Hmm. And
Oh.
but like I don't know if I can even call that learning kanji, you know? Like I'm just learning how to memorize kanji. That's what that is. I learned how to memorize kanji quickly when I saw them in the wild. Because really what
I see.
learning kanji is right, like tying it to vocabulary, actually using it as a like in the language that it's in, right? Like I could
うん。
tell you, "Oh, that kanji means fall." And if you asked me, "Okay, what's the word for fall?" I'd be like, I don't know."
そう
Like I
ね。
couldn't actually
う
speak or
ん。
like read anything, but I just knew that kanji kind of meant fall, right?
うん。なるほど。
Mm.
Yeah,
どん
for
な?
me,
Yeah.
it was, children's book in Japan started with just hiragana. So,
Mm.
すべてがひらがななんだよね
Mm.
in children's book.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to your first grade classes and in kokugo, which would be like a equivalent of English, but
Yeah.
Japanese version,
Mm-hmm.
kokugo, and that's when you start learning your kanji. So
Mm.
it starts out as super simple looking ones like ichi and migi and ame
Mm-hmm.
and king and stuff like that.
Yep.
All the super simple looking ones. That also do turn into radicals, I think, usually
Yeah,
too.
most
The
of those
super
will.
simple ones too.
Mm-hmm.
うん。で、なんかどんどん、その習った漢字を、they usually have a story that they use them in. So
Mm.
it's kind of like what you're saying, right? How Native Shark
Oh,
teaches it. They put it into
yeah.
context, actually. And
Right.
then you learn how to write it in kakijun and everything like that. But
Mm.
you also learn how to read them in the stories in
Mm.
context.
Kakijun being writing order, right? Stroke order.
そうそうそう。う
Mm.
ん。書き順テスト
Oh.
とかあるんだよ。
え怖っ。
そう。で、クラスルームの中ではね、なんか、先生が手挙げて、はい、一緒に書きましょうみたいにして、you
うん。
like draw it with your hand in the air,
ああ。
and then that's how you learn it in class.
That, I don't know, that sounds painful sometimes.
うん。まあ、that's how it was. I don't know
Yeah.
anything else, so.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, it does. I think I would enjoy it to an extent, but also it sounds
う
painful, you
ん。
know? Like,
うん。
because that's one of the big differences is me as an adult learner, like a foreign language learner. I never really learned how to write the kanji
う
until
ん。
like I was maybe 3 or 4 years into my study before I actually started trying to write kanji. And even then, it was only like basic stuff.
う
And
ん。
like now I can write relatively fine, like some basic things fine. Um, just because it's just so much exposure. but I've never really put focus on writing. And I think it's for a
うん。
learner, it's like a waste of time almost, unless you enjoy doing it. But if you don't enjoy doing it, you're just going to burn yourself out. So,
うん。書か
うん。
なきゃいけないのは、住所と
そ
名前と、
う。うん。
うー
それだ
くらい
け。
かな。
うんそれだけだと思う。Yeah,
う
where
ん。
you live and your name. That's the only things you actually need to know how to write if you learn
うん。
Japanese. Everything else is optional and fun if you find it fun. So definitely do it if you want to. Um,
うん。
僕がしてた、なんか、書き練習書くの
うん。
練習、書き練習としては、毎日自分の日記にちょっと日本語で書き込んでた。Like,
うん。
so it's actually really great practice for just any Japanese. You try to get your thoughts onto paper and then you write any kanji that's relevant to what your thoughts are. And that makes it
う
feel
ん。
really like productive instead of just like you write me, me, ki a
い
thousand
や、
times and it's just like
はい。
brain numbing. That's what you did, right?
そう。学校の漢字練習は、
Uh,
漢字のノートブックがあるんだよね。ちゃんとした。
mm,
And they have, when you write kanji for practice, and 国語の本とか、the textbook
mm,
for the 国語 is
mm,
from right to left, the up
mm,
and down, right to left. And kanji no noto is exactly that. And then you open it from the right, and on the right side, okay, wait, how do I explain this? ね、as you progress in your school system, the masu, which where you write the kanji gets smaller and smaller
yeah,
and
like the
smaller per
squares.
page. Yeah.
Eh,
And ichinese starts out with this like massive cubes to write
yep.
your kanjis in your kanji no noto.
Mm-hmm.
で、漢字の右側に読み方
Mm,
が、
how you read
を
it?
書くコラムがあって、
Mm,
で、その左側に、漢字を書くマスがあって、で、そのマスも十字に切ってあるのね。So there's four quadrants within the マス。
mm,
うん。で、綺麗に書かなきゃいけないの。で、if it was 雑 which
mm.
is
Like
like,
sloppy.
yeah, sloppy, then you have to
Mm.
redo it.
Eh.
And it had to be in pencil. で、鉛筆じゃなくて、
Mm.
ペンとか、シャーペンとかだったら、ブブーみたいな。もう一回しなさい
えー、
みたいになる。
そっか。まあ、ペンだと消
うん。
せないもんね。
そ
でも、シャーペンも、シャー
う。
プペン
シャーペンダメだった。シャーペン。うん。
シャーペン so, シャーペン is a mechanical pencil ね。
そうそうそう。うん。
うん。えきつ。きつ。
そうなの、きついの。うん。で、そ
oh,
の1
man.
ページに、when
う
you're
ん。
in first grade, there might be only like, I don't know, 7 by 4 or something on a page. And
Yeah.
then your grade gets more and more, and like they start shrinking. There's more kanjis on one page, and you have to do more homework.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And they get more complicated, obviously, too. So, like, you have
Mm.
more to write in less space all the time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially as you get, like, there's the kanji kente, which is like the kanji standardized test, right, in Japan.
Mm.
And there's like the separate levels, right? So I was actually looking at one of those books and I was like, oh, yeah, hey, here's some words that are cool. And then, like, I'll get to like kente. I just wanted to look at like the first level and the second level. So, like, the highest, I think, right?
Mm.
Um, and I was like, oh, do people actually memorize how to write this stuff?
Yeah. Some
Yeah.
people, some
Some
people
people.
are ambitious
Yeah.
or have to when they do it, but
Mm.
私ではありません。
Yeah. Me too. Yeah.
うん。
I think most people can write maybe what to level like 4 or something. Like the average Japanese person can probably write kanji to level 4-ish. But nowadays, like, だって携帯あるし like you always have a
う
dictionary if
ん。
you don't
そ
remember
う
what
なん。
kanji it is. So you can
Yeah.
just look it up and then はい
Yeah.
書く。
Tai briefly mentioned
うん。
the the separation between hiragana, katakana, and kanji, the three writing systems in
うん。
Japanese. But I just want to real quick reiterate what they are,
うん。
if you don't know. So hiragana is the Japanese writing system that all the sound exist within Japanese is hiragana.
Mm-hmm.
And everything can be written in hiragana if you want. It's
Yeah,
really
but
hard to read, but you can do
yeah.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Katakana is hiragana, but katakana. It's the same sounds, but they're used to explicitly usually depict like foreign words or
Mm-hmm.
emphasis or something that isn't usually Japanese driven or
Mm-hmm.
derived from.
Yeah. Lots of the
And then
time,
kanji.
mm,
Yeah, go ahead.
lots of the time for katakana, if you have like if something is written in literally all katakana, usually that will mean like someone's screaming or a robot's talking. So they use it to like kind of separate from the normal versus like the Japanese.
あと、ホラー映画とかもカタカナがいっぱい出てくるよ。
Oh yeah. Yeah, if there's like a
うん。
monster or whatever, or some scary messages, they do katakana. Yeah. But
Yeah.
hiragana is like more normal. Mm.
And then kanji, which is what we're talking about today, are Chinese character driven,
Mm-hmm.
and Japanese just brought it into their own language.
Mm-hmm.
And we'll talk about this again, but there's two ways to, what are they?
Mm.
音読みと訓読み。
Kunyomi?
そうそう。Two, like,
Reading
ways
ways to
to,
read them.
yeah,
Mm.
yeah.
So read is
But
like
there
pronounce.
can be more. Yeah,
Mm.
there can be more than two readings for kanji. So
Oh,
that's why I
much more than
was
two
slightly confused of
readings.
how to. Yeah.
Yeah. Um.
So onyomi is the Chinese reading usually,
Mm.
and then the kunyomi is a Japanese reading, which is used for Japanese words that the kanjis are used for.
Yeah. So they're the words like derived from Japanese versus we'll do
So
onyomi, so the Chinese reading for words that are sometimes derived from China. So like if we have a maybe an example would be helpful. So like taberu, right? So to eat. So the kanji ta is like ta and then beru is like hiragana afterwards. So that taberu is like the Japanese reading. So that's how we would normally say to eat. And then if you have like something like teishoku, which is I guess it's a Chinese based word. I suppose
a
it's
set
onyomi.
meal. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a set meal. So you can order a teishoku at a restaurant and taberu it, right? But that shoku part is the same kanji as the ta in taberu, but it's a different reading. And this happens pretty often. So,
And yeah, and the interesting thing about the reading shoku is usually written in katakana because it's not Japanese, technically.
when it's written alone,
Or
yeah.
driven. Yeah.
But like if there's like furigana, which are the small kanji, or sorry, so the small hiragana to read like kanji with, we'll still write it in hiragana most of the time, or almost all the time, really, if it's just normal.
Katakana. The only time I would maybe see katakana で、上に書くやつ is when you're doing documents for cities and stuff.
Oh yeah, they will make you write a lot of
Then they'll
katakana.
make you write katakana.
Yeah.
Like for chie, you would have to put the katakana chie instead of hiragana no chie.
Yeah, I've had to write my entire jusho in only katakana before, and I'm like,
そうなのよ。
what is going on?
Yeah.
And it'll
な
be
んでだ
like,
ろうね。
なんでだろう? Like 読み方
面白い
を
ね。
確かめるためかな? わかんない。But
ひらがなでもいいと思うけど、
ね、
まあしょうがない。
しょうがない。Usually I think on all of those I've typed it before, so yeah, it was like signing up on the internet or whatever. But
Yeah, so kanji in its entirety, there is like 50 bajillion kanjis. But how many do you actually have to learn in order for you to just be functional in Japanese?
Any number between about 2,000 to 3,000, I would say. Like I probably know, like the standard answer for that is something like 2,236, something like that number. But like you're always going to learn more, and there's always going to be random kanji and random situations that you're going to run into. So the number like slowly creeps up to maybe about 3,000, I imagine, as you just keep learning and keep reading. So, yeah, but so that sounds like a scary number, but it's really not, because if you think about spreading that out over the actual amount of time it takes to get fluent in Japanese, or like near fluent or whatever, or like depending on what your definition of fluent is. Anyway, um like if you divide 2,200 kanji over a 4-year span, it's a lot easier than like, oh, up front, gotta learn 2,200 kanji. That's gonna be
Mm.
terrifying. So there is that
Yeah,
difference.
it's
Mm,
also like we were saying earlier, maybe we can dive into it now, but
mm,
it's not that you're learning kanji. It's that you're
right.
learning vocabulary and therefore you're learning the kanji because it
Yeah,
comes with the territory.
exactly. Yeah, that's really, I think the biggest thing is you don't even worry about learning kanji. Like learning kanji, at least, especially the way I did it when I started, like it was fun. Like I don't regret doing it, but for people who don't find it fun, that's like useless to them, right? It's like negatively
Mm.
motivational, right?
And
So,
it's like you don't get anything out of it usually too.
yeah.
You'll start forgetting things and it's not
Yeah.
building on top of anything.
Mm,
And that's how Native Shark brings in that building block of, okay, let's say you learned shoku in this
yep.
lesson or whatever, and just the word teishoku.
Mhm.
Well, okay, maybe taberu would come first,
Taberu would
whatever.
probably be first, but
You know what I'm saying.
yeah. Yeah.
So you would learn taberu, and then you would know the kanji, and then the next lesson,
You'd see.
teishoku might be introduced, and you already know the kanji.
Mhm.
It's like that. It builds on top of each other.
Yeah. And then that actually brings up another really good point is some people like they'll look up and be like, "Oh, I need to learn all of the readings when I learn the kanji." Please don't. Please. Please don't. If there's one thing you listen to me from this entire episode, please don't learn all of the readings by themselves for all the kanji. That is the biggest, like, you're just burning your time and not getting anything from it. Because you learn it with vocab,
Okay.
and then you can just, like, really, you just eventually, you know all the readings eventually, but it's because you
Yeah.
learned it with vocab and it's actually useful. So, like, learn with
To
vocab. Vocab's the best.
emphasize, yeah,
Mm.
to emphasize what Tai is saying here, taberu is to eat, has 6 readings.
It's probably
It's
got more than that,
ku,
does it?
furau, taberu, kamu, there probably is.
Yeah.
Kamu, and then shoku, and jiki is onyomi. But
Mm.
they all use the kanji for taberu.
Mm-hmm.
And taberu is very common, and shoku is common. But all the other ones are kind of meh.
Not
Like you'll
useful, really.
encounter them, and
Yeah.
then you could learn them then, kind of thing.
Mm. Yeah. The other ones are like words you learn a few years into your studies when you just like run into it, like a random video game or like a random
Mm,
conversation. But like your
mm,
core words are like those first, what, one or two, right?
mm, mm.
Yeah. There's another one. I think ikiru. I would
Oh
have
my
to
god, that
count,
one's
but
so
I think it
cute.
has like 17 different
So
readings
cute.
or something.
生きる
So
何個あるかな？
生きる、生かす、生ける、生まれる、生まれる、生まれる、生まれ、生まれ. So it's like a bunch of and then like o, 生える、生やす, ki, nama. There's also naru, nasu, musu. And then the onyomi is sei and shou. So it's like, that's like 17 readings right there, right? And, or about. Is it useful to learn all of those? No, not all at once. But you will learn all of those words eventually, like within the couple years. But like I still haven't learned musu. I have no idea what musu means. But the rest I
ムスね、
think
ム
I
スはわ
know.
かんない。
Ne, musu nani?
ムス
To
apparently
grow
to
of
grow
moss. To grow moss.
interesting.
初めて知った。
私も初めて知りまし
Yeah.
た。
But like, if you just learn the word ikiru, you're gonna know the kanji for that, and then you're good, right? And then like you'll learn maybe some other forms like ikasu to like, so ikiru is to live, and then ikasu sounds like the like making form, I guess. So like, I look it up. It says to make the best use of. Oh, okay. So you can ikasu your skills and stuff. Ne. Or it could be revive, so to make someone live, right? Ne, resuscitate. Oh boy. But, right? So eventually you'll learn these words. And that's how you learn the readings for everything. Like just grinding readings by themselves or like with just one random piece of vocabulary, don't worry about that. Just encounter it as you go, right?
Yeah. And then the other part of that is because you know 生きる or say in
Mm,
other vocabulary, and you kind of understand the nuance behind the sight picture, which is
mm.
what kanjis are, then if you do encounter it somewhere else, you can kind of guess what the meanings are based on your previous knowledge of that kanji.
Yeah, that is super helpful. Actually, it kind of reminds me of another thing. When I look up words, like it took me maybe a year or two to get to this point, but I would, if I look up like, or if I see a word I don't know, but I know the two kanji in it, I can write out. So like, maybe what's a good word? What's a good word with two kanji that I can easily, if I just see something, maybe, maybe danjiki. So danjiki is fasting, right? So if you look up danjiki, the first kanji is like tatsu, which is something I know how. So it's like to sever, right? So if I'm looking up in like a dictionary, I can write tatsu and then get the kanji from that, delete the tsu, and then okay, so shoku, all right, taberu. So I would write in taberu, delete beru. Then I'd have that dan kanji and I'd have the jiki kanji, and then I'd enter it, and then hey, look, I know that word now. I can read that word. So like learning kanji makes it faster to learn, like the further you go on. And then like, so it's clearly there, right? So sever, stop, and then shoku, food or eat. Stop eating. What's stop eating? Fasting, right? So kanji is really helpful for that. And you will eventually love kanji, I promise, because of that.
Yeah.
Mm.
I think you meant to say learning vocabulary in the context of
Vocabulary?
learning kanji
Yeah.
is helpful. Yeah.
Yeah, I probably meant to say. So learning vocabulary in the context.
Yes.
Hi.
Yeah.
I got excited.
No, it's good.
Could you tell?
Yes. This is
Yeah.
an exciting topic.
Mm.
Do we want to go say hello for a
Yeah.
second?
Let's go say hi to chat. Hi, chat.
Hello,
Ohayo.
chat. Oh, man. おはよう、こんばんは、にちは。あれ
こんばんにちは.
Wait, okay. Which one do we want to start with?
I'm looking at Twitch chat
Twitch.
first just
Okay,
because
let's go
I
Twitch.
clicked on that one first. Hello. All right, come on. I
Hi,
want to learn
everyone.
calligraphy. Oh, yeah, shodo. Yeah, shodo
Yes.
must be fun.
Shodo? Shodo.
Shodo.
In school, it was called shuji. It's learning ji, and they make you, properly write them with the proper strokes and the proper sumi and proper posture and everything.
Ooh. きつそう。きつそう。
なんか
Yeah.
本当にもうこうやってなんか背伸ばして持ち方まで決まってて、こうやって書くの。
怖っ。怖っ。Yeah.
Okay. Gamer Lamer Sound. That challenge sounds like it would be useful. Do you think it'll come back?
Which challenge?
さんどう思いますか？
What challenge?
あれじゃない？漢字97って漢字チャレンジ。
Oh. I mean, it still exists. If you want to do it, feel free. It's like, it still exists. It's on Nihongo Shark, which is still live right now, I think. But
It is.
that challenge sounds useful. I disagree. I think it sounds fun. It doesn't sound useful though, I don't think. Right? Like
忘れちゃうもん。
yeah,
I've
as
met
someone
so
who
many
has
people
gone through
that
it.
have been through it.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's not
you
helpful.
meet them and you're like, oh yeah, I learned like 2,200 kanji and they can like write all these kanji. I'm like, meet them, a year from now, and then they don't remember it.
But writing the kanji isn't what you do in that challenge. You just memorize it with English. Like that's not helpful. What's helpful is to memorize it with Japanese vocabulary. So like when I did the challenge, like I learned how to memorize kanji. That's the only thing you learn from the challenge. So when you see it in a word, you're not scared of that word. You're like, oh, okay, I know that kanji. That looks familiar. Let me just like look it up. Oh, okay, so here's my new word. And these are the readings I can attach in my brain now. But like doing that challenge by itself is not not helpful. I'm sorry. But if you find it fun, do it. It's fine. You can have fun with it.
Sure, yeah. Yeah.
Like when I started learning Japanese, the core reason was it looked fun. So like if you have fun, don't let anyone tell you it's not good, right? So just enjoy what you enjoy. But I think if you're doing it specifically to learn and you feel like you have to do it, it's okay. You don't have to do it. You know? I think there's more useful ways to spend your time, like going through a native shark lesson. Going through a native shark lesson will be so much better than grinding the 97-day kanji challenge, you know? Like the amount of time that it takes to do that challenge versus the amount of time it takes to do native shark. You will get much more use out of native shark versus like double the time and like literally not even an eighth of the usefulness. So that's how I feel about that. That's a good question though. I do. Hopefully that helps.
Yeah, handwritings initially suck. Sometimes my handwriting is sucky too. It's just not come out well.
I've been told, I think most learners actually have better handwriting than Japanese people. Like I've seen writing from learners, like intermediate level learners. I see you making the face over there. Intermediate level learners and up, I think, like because learners are very careful with their writing, so the G is very kirei, right?
That's interesting though, because I would argue that Japanese people, even if it's more messy, you can actually recognize it better because they
do the
like
proper strokes
the sense
and it's
of like placement.
Nah. Yeah, that's true. Well, I guess that's what I wanted to say. From a learner, it looks so pretty that it doesn't feel as natural, I guess.
Sure.
Right? But so like when I write versus I like one of my native friends write, they're like, "Ji kirei da na." They're like always like something's off, something's weird. I'm like, well.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they write and I'm like, wow, I can kind of read this, but like, holy crap, you know?
I'm just reading through our
Yeah.
chats.
I used to think learning
I don't
Chinese would be
know.
harder.
I'm reading that one too.
Well, Chinese, they always have one reading for every character. So like, if you learn one
Really?
character,
Wait, is
it's
that
always
true?
the same reading. Yeah, every single time apparently.
Oh.
So that makes it easier to once you like know, because like you can't just like with Ikiru, there's not a billion readings to learn. It's just like here's the reading. This is what you do. So I don't know. I think they both have their own unique challenges, I would say.
There's a question. What is the best place to look up kanji?
I use jisho.org. So when I look up kanji, if I don't know how to look up kanji, I will either, if I know the two kanji but don't know how to type that word, I'll do what I described previously. But what you can do is you can go to jisho.org and then there's that search box. And to the left of it, there's the radicals. So in the radicals, those are all the little parts of every kanji. So they sort it by how many strokes each radical has. So 1 stroke, 2 strokes, 3 strokes, 4 strokes. If you just kind of draw it in your mind, you'll eventually get used to how many strokes each radical has. And then you can just click and find, and you can build the kanji by the radicals. So that's option 1. Option 2, which is usually faster, but sometimes not as reliable, is Google Honyaku. So I have like this Google Honyaku app right here. And then you take a picture of the screen. Well, it's all Korean for me right now, but so you take a picture, you do kamera nuryoku, and then you have a picture, and then you say scan, and then yeah, that's like you just take a picture, and then it gives you the kanji. Then you bring that into jisho.org, which is a good dictionary, and not Google Translate. Don't use Google Translate to translate, please. I beg you. Those are 2 options I do. Chia, do you do others?
いや、私はね、書き順かな? The Google Translate app that you just showed. But I'll either do the scan thing or handwrite it. and I never use a translation. I just get the word
Yeah.
because I can
Where you can
usually
read it.
tell
Yeah,
what the
you know
word
what it
is.
is.
Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, so
But
Chia
yeah, I like
has
Jisho for now.
okay, yeah. Yeah, Chia has native abilities, so she's cheating. But
ネイティブですみません。
but yeah, the thing with Kakijun, I used to try writing it, but if you get the stroke orders wrong, or not the stroke order, the stroke number wrong, it gets really confused. So like if it should be, it looks like it would be one stroke, but it's two strokes. Like ko is three strokes, right? Like child, do
Oh
do
yeah.
do. But like it look to a learner, if you don't look up and know it, it looks like one, two, okay, and then the system might get confused. Oh wait, why is it not three? It
Wait,
must be a
really?
different. Yeah,
No, I disagree. だっ
it's
て日本人も2で書くよ普通。Like no one
eh.
lifts their fingers. I'm gonna try it.
I don't know.
It's
I
loading.
mean,
Just
maybe I
kidding.
chose one that
I'm
it's
lying.
used to, but like
Mm.
I have definitely found
I
so
do say
many.
what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yes.
and
I'm
I think
sure
it's
there
more
are.
like complicated kanji that it can't really. But like it does come in with suggestions. So like I just tried to write it both ways, and it was the second and then the third suggestion for both times I tried with two and three strokes and then two strokes. So like you'll maybe find it, but as it gets more complicated, I think the chances of it being found are kind of lower and lower. You know, I don't think it's bad, but I think maybe there's easier ways sometimes. I don't know. I think all three ways are good though. Like I think they all have their own uses. You know.
All right. Do we want to jump back into the podcast?
I
don't actually.
Yeah.
Did you see the timestamp when we actually started recording?
I forgot to look. I think it was maybe 10 minutes. I think we have like 20
Okay.
or 30 minutes right now on the current.
Sure.
Alas, I always forget.
We try to go for 30 minutes of actual content for our podcast.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
はい。
行ってきます。
できます。
Okay. いやで、書き順でちょっと言いたかったこと。The first really cool 書き順 one that I encountered was 女 the kanji for 女
Oh, yeah.
知ってる？
くのいち。
そうそう。What is くのいち?
Kunoichi is actually a female ninja. So that's what makes up all the kanji, or the onna kanji is there's an ichi, there's a one, there's a ku, so hiragana ku, and then there's the katakana no. And that just makes up onna no ji. And then we say kunoichi.
Yeah, but the 書き順 is くのいち.
Ku no ichi. Oh, okay. Yeah, I didn't know that part. Really? It's ku first?
そうだよ。ちょっと待ってよ。
I always
Just
look
to make
up.
sure that I'm not
I
lying.
always do it ichi.
違う. My teacher got really mad at us for like messing up kunoichi. So I'm pretty sure it is.
Oh, it is. Yeah, ku no ichi. Oh, I always write ichi,
Yeah.
ku, and then no. Whoopsies.
You're messing up the kanji.
ごめんな
The
さい.
history behind it.
謝罪いたします.
I don't care.
Yeah. Especially as a learner, like you can get the stroke order wrong. It's not a big deal. But
yeah, as long as it's like recognizable.
as long as it's recognizable. But the point of the stroke order is like to make it so when people get sloppy, it's always like the same way of being sloppy, kind of, right? It's like recognizably sloppy, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, because the stroke orders flow into each other usually. And so that's how, like you're saying, it 保つ the shape.
Yeah.
Holds the shape.
Yeah, it holds the shape. Yeah.
Let's see. Getting a feel for kanji meanings. I think we talked over that. You want to talk about radicals in useless kanji?
Yeah. So yeah, radicals. So I mean, every kanji is built up of radicals. Most radicals are shared among a ton of kanji, so that makes it helpful to make like little short stories. So mnemonics, to help you remember the kanji, which is what Native Shark does. So we introduce you with vocabulary and we give you the mnemonics that you can help build some memory with. So I think that way is, there's two layers of really trying to memorize everything. You have the actual useful, technically something you can actually apply with Japanese ability, right? So vocabulary. And then you have radicals to help you just kind of keep it in your brain. So I think it's hopefully doubly helpful.
Is there an example for a kanji that people can picture in their brains, or like what the heck is a radical?
So a radical, like, I don't know, I guess we could say like aki, right? So aki has heat in it. So heat, fire. So I can't draw on podcast audio only.
We're drawing
But
in there.
yeah.
Yeah.
But so it has that fire kanji in it. And then you'll see that in lots of different places. And then sometimes the fire will be like in 4 lines at the bottom, and that's also kind of fire. And yeah, it just makes up. And then usually things that vaguely have to do with fire, but not always. So like sometimes
Like
it
fish.
doesn't. Yeah, like fish. Oh, is it? Yeah, it is in sakana. Yeah. Well, I guess you can cook fish.
I guess you
Maybe
could
that's
cook
fine.
fish.
Yeah.
Yes.
I think that's part of the mnemonic I used to have for it, I think. Is like you cook the fish, so that's why there's fire under a fish. But
yeah, so as the kanjis get more and more complicated, they'll have more and more radicals kind of making up the kanji. So a super simple looking kanji might actually just be a single radical, or like the base of that radical. And then, you can have left to right 2 sections, or you can have, like a top kamuri, which is like what are they
crown.
called? Crown, there we go. You can have kamuris on top of, other radicals. So you can have like an up and down stacking, or you can have like containers that contain other radicals within themselves. Kind of like that. So you're taking Lego blocks essentially and making up these pictures, these meanings, which are
characters.
the kanji.
Yeah. And then simpler kanji will sometimes become their own radicals. And then sometimes there's just radicals that aren't actually kanji, but they're just used as radicals. So yeah, just little building blocks basically. And that's how you can look up things too with jisho.org, right? You just go to radical and then boom.
知らなくてもよかった漢字は?
Yeah. I don't even know how to read this, but I remember going through that challenge, and this one, it's like block letters or something. So it looks like mina, like so everyone, and then it's got ki at the side of it. And so it's square character style. And when I was doing the kanji challenge, they didn't give me any vocabulary, right? So I didn't have any vocabulary to attach this to. And I could never remember, like, what does square character style even mean? I like, what? So I would always forget this kanji. I spent months forgetting this kanji. I would see it and I would recognize that I didn't remember it. And I was like, it's that freaking kanji. I hate this kanji. So every time I would see it and I'm like, I don't remember.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's an aggressive tie.
This was the most aggressive I've ever gotten when studying Japanese. I strongly dislike this single character because it just doesn't. Yeah, and I don't know what it's used for. Do you know this kanji? Like, I don't know any.
見たことない。It
見たこと
says
ないね。
kaisho. It's
カイショ
common
は
word. いえいえいえ。
カイショ何?
Kaisho, printed
I don't
style of writing Chinese characters, square style, block style. Maybe it's like a type
No, it's like a font?
script? Maybe?
I don't know.
Kaisho.
漢字の書体の1。
大丈夫、大丈夫。
Yeah, I don't know, but I didn't like this word. And I still don't like this word now that I'm remembering it. But
okay, so I think there's like 2 categories of 知らなくてもいい漢字. 知らなくてもいい is things that you don't even have to know. Kanji.
Yeah, like words you
kanji.
don't have to know.
So there's the useless category,
Mm-hmm.
where you don't even know the word. The word is even useless, the vocab that it shows up in. And then there are the other ones that exist, but you rarely come across unless you're reading ancient text that everything
Right.
is written in kanji.
Right. Yeah. So things like kore.
Mm.
So like kore is this, right? So everyone like if you're learning, you'll probably learn the word for this really early, right? So most learners will know kore or like sore, which is that. But the kanji with those, it's not so common. You won't really need to know. But
いや、
yeah,
ほ
if
んと
you
見たことないと思う。Yeah.
I've seen it in video games or like really like when they're doing some old style or like Sekiro, like kanji like that would be in Sekiro, but Sekiro is just insane with everything, all of its language. So you should, you don't have to put your standard of learning at Sekiro because that's kind of crazy.
Oh no. Yes.
Can you read this last one? There was 3 we put. Can you read it?
これそれあれじゃないの？違うの？あ、違うの？
kore ga in the middle and then sore is
まれ？
the last one. The first one, do you know?
知らない。
It's made.
ちょっと待ってよ。まで？
Made.
あ、本当だ。
So
までに。
this
いや、
one
こ
I
れ見たことあ
actually
る。
see on signs. Yeah.
Yeah.
But like very rarely. But like sometimes if they're really trying to conserve space and they're like saying like a karaoke spot or like an izakaya is open until this time, they'll put like
ああ、
23 or like 25 o'clock even made. So which is 1 in the
そうね。
morning, like 1 the next day,
Yeah.
which is also interesting.
アメリカでもする？ 25
I
時ま
don't
で。
know. I've not gone to enough overnight past midnight places in America to say for sure, but I don't think so. I think they just say until like
見たこ
1.
とない。Yeah, in
So they'll
Japan though, time works differently.
Yeah, it does. It's the 24-hour clock.
Yeah.
No, yeah, it does. Yeah, I mean, we live in the future, right? Like Japan lives in the future,
Mhm.
so yeah, so time works
Yeah.
differently.
You
Huh?
have more time in the day.
Yeah.
25時間あります。
Yeah. So this,
Yeah.
but yeah, like most of the time you won't see them. But I mean, it's good to like if you see it and you're like, "Oh yeah, I guess I'll like kind of memorize that passively." You will eventually. If you run into it enough. But if you don't, it's also not really a problem.
I think we have enough. I would just want to post this in chat and see if anyone can read it.
Oh, yeah.
I guess Twitch can't
Well,
see it, but
tautological.
this is the...
I can read that. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
お、読める？これ何？どこ？
That's
これどこじゃん。
doko.
よし。
And that's the same one in kore. That's the quote in kore.
ああ、そうそう。Okay, but in the chat, I posted something from a native shark lesson where Nico writes a paragraph that has all the words jumbled in the middle. The letters are scrambled up, but you can still read it because your brain is recognizing it as a sight picture and not words.
Yeah.
That's exactly what kanjis are. They're sight pictures.
Right. Yeah, that's what they have to become in order to really, like, be useful, I guess. I just see all kanji as just, it's a sight picture. When I break down kanji, I never, like, read each individual radical. I just see the greater picture in the greater context, and then it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. Like, there's plenty of kanji that you might not be able to read just by itself. If you just give them this one thing, it's like, I don't know. But if it's in a sentence, you can read it like easily sometimes, right?
That's how I read kanji.
ね、あるあるの話だよね。
そうそう。Apparently it was koko. We had it wrong. We got caught.
Alas. Oh yeah, well if it's the ko and kore, of course it would be ko and then the ko.
Yeah.
Oh, alas.
We got got.
Doko is like, isn't it like the other way around? Let me type doko. I think it's like the exact opposite. Oh, it's nani
and then ko. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Nani ko. Yeah.
Nani ko. Alas. But like those are like, you don't need to learn those really, right? You'll see them maybe sometimes, and usually it'll be more like a oh, can you read this kind of deal more than anything. Mm.
I think we covered everything we wanted to cover.
I think so.
Did we miss anything? If chat has anything that we want to talk about kanji and or anything, any questions,
Yeah,
we
do
are
you have
open
any
for questions while we write our goodbye messages.
Yeah.
What are the
Goodbye messages.
Goodbye message.
Goodbye messages. さようなら。
このなんか outro.
Our outro messages.
アウトロ。
今日の質問です。
漢字、知らない漢字に出くわしたら、辞書でググってね。辞書で食ってみてね。
I think
辞書を
食って。
来る。
Oh, I thought you said ググって。So I thought you said like 辞書でググる。Oh, you did? I'm like, wait. Something's wrong. Google it in the dictionary.
辞書を引いてかな。辞書来るって言わないんだよね。I think that actually might be a 熊本弁。
Flip through the... まあいいじゃん。
Yeah, but it doesn't show up. It shows up as 食べて。違います。
めくる
いや、食ってで合ってる。まあいいや、引いてって言おうか。辞書で引いてみてね。
Pull it from the dictionary. Just give it a nice 引く from the dictionary.
You just yoink it right out of into your
yoink.
brain.
Applied directly to the brain.
Yes. Download. Immediate knowledge.
一番簡単な質問だけど一番好きな漢字は何ですかって言ったら
Yeah, Korea apparently is a bad question because I asked it in our Inktober question. Everyone's like, さあ
僕もさあ I actually had there was a student who was like, oh, I learned your favorite kanji today, Tai. And I'm like, what's that one? I don't know which kanji. Like, ito.
I don't
so
even
the string.
know what mine is.
Yeah. I guess I wrote it in the comments that it was my favorite, or like the notes. It was my favorite. But.
Tatorojiko-san asks, what about the older forms of kanji? How often do you see these non-shinji forms? And I think you would see them if the font is not updated.
Yeah,
it's
really
probably
old
my
font.
answer.
Or like it's on purpose in an old font game.
Yeah.
But even still, like they don't do that. Like maybe Sekiro would have that, but like even really the crazier games still would probably avoid doing that.
But Chihaya Gothic, the one we use for our kanji one, they have the old stuff in there too, just snuck in there, and I have to manually change them.
Oh, really?
Like, take it out and do it in the style that they have it.
Interesting. I didn't know
and
that.
Sometimes I leave it because it's actually common. And you can go either way.
Yeah, sometimes there are the kind of it's both work. 何聞けばいいかな基本質問 Maybe I mean, I could ask, are you scared of kanji or do you enjoy kanji?
何にしようか漢字 Where was the first place you encountered kanji?
Okay. 初めて漢字見たとこ
見たとこどこでした？
どこでした Okay, that is right then. Okay.
見たとこどこでした？初めて漢字見たとこどこでした？いや。
どこどこ。
はい。
Alright. This.
If anyone is listening and have that there's an episode coming up that I want to do of like tongue twisters, but I asked Ty to put in some words that in general are just hard to say. If there are any, drop that in the chat so we can have it in our podcast episode. Tongue twister, but also normal twisters.
怖っ。A normal twister.
Normal
トルネードみ
twisters.
たいな。
トルネード。
トル
It
ネー
sounds
ド。
like a 技。漢字トルネード。Messes up your hair.
全集中、全集中、1の方、トルネード。
Oh man.
いいじゃん。
Will
But-
you be using the same link or a different link for the next podcast for Twitch?
For
Question
Twitch,
mark?
it's always the same. YouTube is always the same. Well, YouTube, we link to the channel, and then you can, the shows on the channel, the live thing. But if it's for the listening, or like the audio only version, then that comes out in about 2 weeks from now. This episode would come out in about 2 weeks, and then that would be a different link. But for Twitch and YouTube, it's always the same link, which you can see in the Native Shark community. I send out a ping. You can have like send me stream notifications signed up, and you get a ping when we go live. And you can get that in the roles section of it. The roles, and then you click on the thing at the bottom. Hi. But yeah, okay. So let's do the 今日の質問. So, but yeah, I always don't know how to pronounce, or I don't know how to transition. But では, thank you.
Wait.
では,
wait.
では, I
We
want
were
to say で
talking
は.
about like これ and あれ and それ and obscure kanji and stuff last.
あれ? あれ?
あ
あれ?
れ?
All right, thanks everyone. あれ?
そこか。
そこだ。
終わっちゃった？
終わっちゃったかも。But thank you everyone for listening. Hopefully, you know, everyone feels a little bit better about kanji. Like they're not a scary thing, and I think that's really the most important thing is, yeah, there's a lot, but there's a lot with any language, right? So every language is going to have its own pile of things to learn, right? So, and eventually, I promise, eventually you'll be very happy to see a word with kanji versus a word that doesn't have kanji. I struggle learning words that don't much more than I do with ones that have kanji.
いやー、難しいよね。
難しい.
But it's like you can't even guess what it means.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, and then like memorizing it is more difficult for me too. Like, cause I don't have a kanji to attach my brain with it too. So, yeah. But, with that being said, 今日の質問です。So, 初めて漢字見たとこどこでした? Wow, that was hard. Wait.
微妙に良かったくない？
いや、微妙に良かったか。まあ、もう一回。初めて漢字見たとこどこでした? That one was good. That one was good.
パーフェクト。はい。
ありがとうございます。
私初めて漢字見たとこどこだったんだろうね。お母さんの名前くらいじゃない？
ああ、そうかもね。ネイティブだもんね。
ネイティブだもんね。
うん。
どうだろう？タイは？
アニメとか。いや、Wait. Now that I remember.
一番最初のアニメは？
一番最初のアニメは、
うん。
ポケモンじゃなかったら、天空の城ラピュタ。
おー、いいね。
Yeah, Castle in the Sky.
題名に漢字入ってるじゃんね。
I think, but I never recognized it. But I just remembered when I was in like 5th grade, I did an art project. We made like these clay like trays, and I painted the kanji for ki on it. And that was cool. I just remembered. Ooh, that was the first time. For tree, yeah.
Okay.
はい。
My turn, I guess.
はい、頑張ってください。
では皆さん、知らない漢字に出くわしたら辞書引いてみてね。
パチパチパチ。完璧でした。
OK。
お疲れ様です。
ありがとうございます。
はい。
お疲れ様です。皆さん。
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for tuning in to our live podcast streaming. Like Ty mentioned, these come out 2 weeks usually after the date that we record them. So 2 weeks from now, this episode will come out.
Yep.
We are here at the same time every week, streaming on Twitch and YouTube, and also in our Discord channel.
Yep.
And if you're on Twitch or YouTube and listening, come join our Discord channel.
Yeah. nativeshark.com/community, and you can find the link. I think there might be a link in the description. If not, I'll put one in there if it's on YouTube. So.
And then we also have show notes that Ty type up when he's editing these podcasts. So if you didn't catch some of the Japanese, that will be in there.
It'll be in
if you have
there,
any
yep.
questions, there is a channel in our Discord called Laid Back Japanese Podcast that you can drop your questions in and come say hi.
Hi. Come say hi.
Hi.
Yes. Come say yes.
Come say it.
Hi. All right.
All right. では、皆さんお疲れ様です。